Good evening. I'm so honored to be here. I hope even as it is towards the end of the session, you still have the energy to listen to me and the rest of the speakers who will follow. When I heard Dr. Gunhill talk about what she really cares about, it really resonated with me. She said she really didn't care much about food. But don't be fooled by the body size. I love food. But what I really care most about is people. Having grown up in a rural farming community back in Kenya, when I think about food, it means something completely different to me, because it means for a smallholder farmer back at home, food is what puts food on the table. Food is what educates the children. Food is what enables them to get money to actually take the children to the hospital when they are unwell. Food is everything for them, aside from being something to keep the hunger away. But these smallholder farmers back in Kenya and across many developing countries face quite a bit of challenge. And I grew up seeing lots of the challenges that the smallholder farmers face. Despite them being quite really hardworking and honest people, they till their land, but at the end of the day, their harvest is very little. And you can imagine that many of the smallholder farmers actually end up tilling their land using the handheld djembes. That's what we call them back at home. The many technologies that we keep on talking about, the modern technologies that would enable them to produce more, is something they don't have access to. They don't have access to capital to be able to afford even the improved seeds, the organic fertilizers. So having grown up and really firsthand faced some of these challenges that the smallholder farmers face, I was lucky enough to end up studying computer science from a humble rural farming family. And for me, even studying computer science was really deliberate, because I had seen that technology had the capability of actually turning around lives and making a difference. And I was looking for a tool that would enable me to make a difference in my community. And so I founded Farmdrive, that is helping smallholder farmers get access to credit. And I know you're wondering how. And for some people, even just access to credit sounds like something that everyone should have access to. But it's not the case for smallholder farmers back at home. In as much as even in a country like Kenya, more than 70% of the population relies on agriculture, but very, very few of them actually end up getting credit from the financial institutions. The financial institutions will rely on credit histories. They will rely on, have you had a bank account for the last 6 or 1 year? What are kind of your records? But for these small holder farmers who are in rural, remote communities, many of them do not even have bank accounts. And if they do have, then most of them are dormant. But this does not mean they should not be financially excluded. It does not mean that they should not get access to credit. So I asked myself, together with my co-founder, whom we started Farmdrive with, what does it take to understand and to actually build credit facilities for the smallholder farmers. And looking at what are some of the challenges, we realized that financial institutions really do not understand farmers because they're not the typical client. So we started off and decided we were going to look for data. Being computer scientists, we were going to look for data that was going to be helpful in understanding the risks associated with lending to smallholder farmers and even mitigating the risks. And so we ended up creating a tool that collects all sorts of data, from soil information to weather information to using satellite data, behavioral data from the smallholder farmers. Just by them using our SMS tool, we're able to collect that data. And we augment that with a lot of other big data sets, from understanding the kinds of resources that are there in the places where the farmers are located. Do they have access to roads? Do they have access to water sources? And we look at all these numerous data sets and have built machine learning models that are crunching all this data. And now financial institutions are able to actually, without physically visiting a farmer in a rural, remote community, be able to actually do risk assessment. We are doing credit scoring for the smallholder farmers using all these different data sets, and now farmers are able to get access to credit. And it's made even much more easier in our context where there is, the farmer does not need to go to a banking hall to get access to credit, but we do the risk assessment remotely, and then financial institutions on using those risk management tools or risk assessment tools that we're building are able to make a decision on whether to lend to the farmers and can actually disburse the money to the farmers via mobile money. We've been doing this for about 2 years now, and when we started off, many people thought we had lost our minds. Why didn't we go and work for the big companies? But for us, it was really important that we find a solution for some of the challenges we saw growing around us, that we saw that food is the solution to actually even keep the youths back at home. How can we make agriculture profitable? How can we make sure that the youths or the families that are in the rural areas can actually get access to resources to grow their farming ventures? And we decided that that's the route we're going to take, and we wanted to make a difference. And right now, we're serving about 3,000 farmers back in Kenya. There are millions of smallholder farmers that we would wish, and we are building the capacity to be able to serve. But for us, it was that one step that every day, even when we see one farmer has gotten access to credit, it's a difference we are making. And I'd like to urge all of us that as we are getting the UN and the different countries to actually put in huge resources to end hunger, to end poverty, to reduce climate change and all that, that at an individual level, we can start doing something. It might not look very big at the onset, but working step by step, then you will be able to see the difference at the end of the day. Thank you.